right, good morning, Grand Rising. We're getting ready to jump into a LinkedIn space with the Happiness Tribes. So bear with us as the show starts, and hopefully you guys will enjoy.
Last few months, because we got to know pretty well, my mom was going. I did a lot of voice recording. I did a lot of videos with her. We took a lot of pictures. And of course, my mom was not on social media, which I think I would say it's great. But then this triggered when I thought about this one video on YouTube, which I've been trying to delete, which I recorded and we were there with my mom. But I don't know, again, I'd say it could be how we approach these sensitive issues of death, because I don't feel like I want to share my mom with the world. It might feel silly, a bit selfish, but I might also look at it like maybe I'm still on my healing journey. Now, come to the present modern day life where we are living our lives on social media. We post personal issues, we talk about, be it work, people we love, everything is on the digital platform. How safe is that information? And when we lose our loved ones who we can still see, I think this morning, US morning, I think alleged was lost, and I think it's alleged on LinkedIn. I don't know the person, but I see a lot of people mourning her. And so they will mourn, say a lot of beautiful things about her, tag her page. And then I look at it and I go like, what could be her children? What are her children feeling? What are they saying? It's important we celebrate you when you're here right now and when you're gone. But how much of that do we know? How well prepared are we? What happens to that information? I would go back to Dr. Ras, who is very smart in this space, who has prepared his presentation on training us, teaching us, and maybe just giving us a different perspective. How do we manage our digital footprint? It's crucial in today's age, and maybe giving us some examples on unmanaged digital footprints and the impact it can have on our legacy. And then, of course, would love to reflect on our personal lives. Why is this important? Why does it matter when we're gone? What do we leave on the online platform? So, Dr. Raj, over to
Okay. Hello.
you. The topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Kim, for that. And you went right in. So thank everyone for showing up. And I just wanted to mention before we get started that we do have a special guest and she will be here probably about 15 after. So we will start getting into the topic and then we'll have our guests on and begin to dive into the topic as a professional. But before we even get into talking about death, it doesn't say anything about death in the title, right? So how did you jump to that? And so I wanted to back up and kind of so digital footprint before we even get to dealing with it in death, how we dealing with it in life. And so I first wanted to just separate the idea, and you brought this up of there's a generational gap or a difference in we were born in a world where the technology of that digital space was not available to the general public, right? It wasn't an everyday thing in life. But the children now and the youth now, um, they're being born into a digital world. So first of all, we have to recognize that there's going to be a separation in this discussion of what a digital footprint even means before we even talk about life and death and the implications thereof. So just talking about a digital footprint. First of all, we're speaking about the kind of information that will be tagged to you as a personal or a person that accumulates as your interaction accumulates with the digital world and the digital devices around us. Now, little do people know, this started way back when we have telephones and the data started to be digital data that we're using to communicate, even though it wasn't in the general public as the consumers as it is now. That data is still how we kind of do patient billing in the medical space and even in accounting. And, all of this kind of information has been used in the commercial space now, but it's long been used in finance, right? So knowing how in judging a person on if you're going to get a certain loan or to a certain area or access to things is based on this type of data, right? And now this data has, because of the technology, has infiltrated other.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Russ. And you nailed it. You got it so clearly. And super awesome. We have Dr. Grace joining us. And we know she's on vacation, but I think she just had to get to the beach with her phone or her laptop. Do you want to say hello and contribute to the topic?
Yes, hi everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to the tribe, everyone. Sorry, yes, I do have some background noise today, but I'm here to support and participate as much as I can.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Grace. Thank you, Dr. Russ. I love it. I love how you start with just getting to brief us on what's the topic about and why. Why are we talking about this? So, would you like to get a little bit deeper on why does this matter and how do we start navigating this? What does this
Yeah.
mean to us right here on the planet?
Absolutely. So, as I was saying, and using the analogy of a bank account, right, and the type of bank account that you'd like to build up, that goes to what type of life do you want to live, or what do you your behaviors and how you're exposed to the world. Before, this would have to be caught by eye and someone says something or it's recorded by some personal device. But now recordings are everywhere and data is everywhere. So you have to understand that no matter how you live, you have to own how you live. And with that, you have to make judgments. So depending on the type of lifestyle you want to live, it's associated with different um, types of income or individuals or status in life. So you have to think about that as you move forward. We'll talk about more actual technical devices and softwares and things like that when we're actually talking about protecting yourself. But overall, I just wanted to talk about first um, the idea of the person or the individual, what people think about you, because that carries on, right? Then we can get into the actual actions and what you do to either destroy your reputation or make a concrete good reputation. So I think the first thing with that is, how do you engage with the digital world? The ways that you choose to engage with the digital world, and how much of yourself do you put out there? We have social media, and we have what I guess is what technology that you use at work, so professional. But it seems that even with that and then personal technology, the lines are being blurred, right? Where there's no clear distinction now. So before, it's kind of, they have the saying of like, you do this in the light or this in the dark, behind closed doors, but there is no closed doors. So the lines are blurred. So whatever you put out there is going to be out there. And so it's important to know what you engage in online, whether you're researching or looking for activities to do in the real world. And it's the same thing with networking and the human resources and individuals that you collaborate with. Okay.
Indeed, indeed, Dr. Russ. And it's important for us to be mindful of that, because it can be very casual, where at least we are putting content. I just wonder how many of us think about the impact that content could be having. And we've seen it. I think politicians are the ones who are very smart at this. Like, they'll dig all your dirt and the ugly and all the stuff that happened in your past, which, as we say, the internet does not forget. So it archives that data. So how responsible are we in doing it? And what measures do we need to take to
Right.
safeguard our digital footprint?
Sorry, Miss Kim. Yeah. So with that, right, we can talk about what kind of data is out there and how do you interact. We know, just speaking generationally, as we're having a conversation, and feel free in the audience if you want to raise your hand and come up and make this more of a conversation. But you have a generation that grew up on the radio. Then you have a generation that grew up on TV, and then generation who grew up on video games, and these type of technologies, right, will impact those generations and cause some of that generational difference. So I think now where we are, right, we're in the age where video, right, is the primary source of technology or data that's being passed around or collected on individuals, right? And now we're entering a stage where it's not just video, which captures behavior, and audio, but now we're getting into the area of BCI and brain computer interface and neurological and cognitive data, right? And even this is reaching the marketplace. So now we have a mixture of not just behavior, but even personality. And so there's a lot of ways to um, interact with technology, but these different ways can also be used to manipulate individuals. So um, it's just like anything else, right? You want to take precaution when you're experimenting or with a new piece of technology, and always want to do it with someone who has experience, right? In a protected environment. And so, yeah, I think these are the things that we have to think about: the tools that we use, how you use a cell phone, what kind of information you use on your cell phone, who you let use your cell phone, the computer the same way. And so these are some of the issues that we have to think about with our own personal behavior, depending on your job. Right, we know in the healthcare field, like with HIPAA laws to protect patients and patient safety, humans in clinical trials, and in different professions, there are laws in place. So the technology that's utilized in these fields aren't used to abuse, citizens or human beings, but still they have the capability to. So we have to be careful of that and know that how you interact and how much of your information can be put out there. Um, Before you even think about what is your reputation after, which is this digital footprint, we think about identity theft. What about right now? You're putting enough of your information out there where someone else can piece together enough of the information to pretend to be you or gain access to something that only you should have access to, right? A lot of this is coming online as we're using technology where we talk about avatars and replicating ourselves in a digital space. We talk about digital twinning and and replicating the environment. All of this is information that how then can you distinguish, and this is where it becomes important to understand the technology and be creators and developers. But how do you distinguish between a deep fake and the real thing? I recently posted, and I'll post some more videos, but of a recent interaction where there was a group in India who took video from a real doctor in Jamaica, and they basically had a deep fake video of him with a totally different voice and was selling some supplements that really didn't exist. And people were actually sending in money for these supplements because this gentleman have a reputation in the community. And so then you have to deal with that and the backlash of that. And it can get more serious if these inflictions are federal, state, or international laws are broken when someone does steal your identity. And to keep on that point, another point with that is also in a digital space, when we think about policy and law, physically, when you cross from one state to another, if there's state laws, you have to know what state you're in or what country you're in and abide by those laws. And even though a lot of it is undefined and being more and more so defined, you have to be careful as well in a digital space because there may be laws that you're not aware of. So things like these, I think, it's similar to things that you would be told in the physical space and physical living life about how to be safe, but just taking it into the space and the technologies that we utilize.
Mm, I like that. Yeah, I like that. And you know what, Dr. Raz, you actually got me thinking. I don't know how many of you, our guests and our listeners, have done or often do the exercise of Googling yourself. Please do that. Just Google yourself and you'll be surprised what you might come across. I've seen myself awarded accolades that I didn't know about. I've seen myself in events that I didn't know existed. I've seen places I'm quoted or I'm mentioned, and I'm just going like, I don't even know about this. So yes, we are living on the edge where identity theft is critical. So I think it's very, very important for us to keep on auditing our digital footprint, where we can try. We include check out your social media, check out your cloud storage, your online subscription. Sometimes we get something, you get excited, and then your information is used or abused in ways that you don't know. So defining your digital legacy goals, coming up with, I am on these platforms, this is what I stand for, and getting to know that you need to come up with a way, how do you preserve this? And what happens, who else would come next and come across this? I see we've had more guests. Very nice to see you, Randy, Zamzi, Francine, Sandra, David, Michael, Alison, Saji, and Dr. Leslie. I think I mentioned the others. Dr. Leslie, we haven't seen you in a long time. Could you please come on stage and give us some contributions? And anybody else would like to chime in on this topic, you're welcome. Please join us. Um, I think it's a conversation that we need to keep on having more often. There should be a lot of education, especially to our youngsters who just wake up and TikTok and post something on TikTok. And for me, as an educator, what keeps on concerning me is when I ask the team, the youth that I work with, on you post yourself in your parties on things that you are doing that sometimes I think a lot of us, and Grace, you can contribute on this if you may. We first, I am very particular on checking out who I'm hiring or who I'm partnering with, who I'm working with. And we check on that information. The best place to check is on their social media platforms and see who are they, what do they stand for. So this can be very sensitive on just being responsible on the information you put out there. Grace, are you free to join us on that?
Yes, yes, yes. And that's one topic I really wanted to talk about as well and bring up. And so I'm so glad you mentioned that. I think it's such an important topic, and especially in today's digital footprint world. And this is actually a significant portion of my training as well when I train for interviews. As far as the digital footprint you have with as a professional person and as a individual, they kind of run into each other. So it's whenever you're putting something out there, you just have to assume it's visible to everybody. And that's kind of what I tell my candidates as well. If you put something out there on the digital world, whether it's through social media, YouTube, and all other kinds of forms of communications that are visual, it's just simply visible to everybody. You just have to assume that. And with that, what kind of image do you want to have out there? How do you want to represent yourself out there? And how does that align with what you do? So it's very good to consider. We all have, different interests or views on things, whether it's religious, political, whatever else. And whenever we put that out there, we just have to understand that is not just for us, to see. I here in the U.S., and I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with that. When this is the other topic, is separate from that. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is about the GPS and how it actually tracks you as well. Now, this is a little bit different from social media, but in the US, we have formats or for example, I know Progressive does that. It's one of the insurance companies out here that will track your driving, study your driving, and base your insurance prices on that. And now within those vehicles, a lot of these vehicles are computerized and have a lot of different type of behavioral studies that they do on individuals as we are driving those vehicles. And I just wonder how that all also affect things. And Dr. Russ is not with us, but I believe that he has some insights on that as well. What do you think about that, Kim?
Very, very sensitive, because then you have no control. And how do you defend yourself when that was tracked and you're here facing the other side of the law? I don't know, Dr. Russ. It's critical, it's important, and some of these things, there should be a lot of awareness and education.
So I'm sorry, I fell off there. I had a little technical difficulty. What was the last question there?
Well, I was just I was bringing up the topic of GPS as a different technology form of tracking as well. I think most of us, a lot of us are familiar that, with social media, companies do track it, and other organizations that you affiliate with yourself with do track these, your image out there as well. But I found that the other area is also GPS, as to whether it's the way they track you, the way you use it on your devices, as far as which sites you go, which, or whether it's while you're driving, all the vehicles that have that device to track your driving habits and your driving history. And then according to that, you are priced for your insurance pricing, and so on and so on. That's a little bit different from the regular social media platform, digital platform that we know. With GPS, it's a little bit it's a different technology, right? They actually track where we're going physically, but also they track what we're doing through our, I guess, through the GPS, right? Locations. So they see habits of different sites we visit, different locations, physical locations we go to, and so on.
Yeah, I think you bring up a valid point. You're talking about it's the same technology, but using it just for a different purpose, right? Because it's basically taking behavior and analyzing behavior down to a science where it's mathematical now, right? And we're basically using probability to determine and classify behavior, so it can be more, you can be more predictive. And it's just, that's not the problem. The problem is when it's used in a way that the individuals it's being used on is not aware and being taken advantage of. Because if you take that same technology and you have a pet or a child, and you're on a boat that capsizes, I think that's something that's good, right? Or if they get kidnapped in the middle of the night, that's something that's good. Um, but if it's used for nefarious purposes, then I don't think that's the technology itself. It's the user. So we have to be careful, because we don't want to be able to prevent, you know, the good side of that just because of what someone possibly can do bad with it. And we face a lot of that inside of research, right? When you're researching to even develop these things. And speaking of, I'm hoping, I'm inviting Orson and Karen up here to speak, because this show today is actually sponsored by File Baby. And I'll talk about File Baby in a second, because what we're talking about now is these technologies of surveillance is being used on you, but what about you using them, right, for good, for to protect yourself, to protect your creation? We talked about navigating the digital space, but now let's talk about creation within the digital space, and how do you protect your creation and your digital legacy, so you do have something to leave on that is a digital footprint. So I think talking about some kind of software, right? When you create something, whether it's a letter, whether it's an image, a book, a video, how do you protect these things? What are the different types of measures now of security? So I guess digital security is the next place we should go. How do you secure your belongings or your image of you, whether that's audio, video, transcript, whatever it is? How do you protect that? So that's the question I'm putting out. And of course, it's a loaded question, but go ahead.
Maybe we can push that question to Dr. Leslie. Introduce yourself, Dr. Leslie.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Um, just want to say good day to everyone. And I think I love the question, Dr. Okay, Rash just brought up. Okay, I'll go from both sides. I think for the young ones, and also how important is your digital? Should I use the word material? How important is your content? Okay. Now, I think for the young ones, you see, we cannot stop it right now. The internet is bombarded with so many information, so many contents every day. And if you look at it, if you do research, you will discover over 60% of the content we have are negative contents. Now, it's fast to, I mean, it's easier for you to learn from the negative than the positive. So you see our young ones, they prefer those kind of contents. Now, how do you distract them from negative contents? How is your education system? How is our system? I'm talking about the education, the environment, talk about the unit from the home, then to the school, and the environment entirely. When a child loves mathematics, or a child does not love mathematics, you have to look at the kind of content they post online and turn that negative content to a positive content to aid their learning. So they also can like a subject or can like something that they want to do. Now, one of the things some of us do, we brought in entrepreneurship, then we brought in learn your craft. Just learn your craft. Then we brought in another thing called your passion. What is your passion? You develop your passion, turn it to a craft or a skill, then also turn it to invention. Now, sometimes you can attach that to an education system or to a system that is growing, is a learning system. I'm talking about a circular. I'm talking about a circular education. When you keep doing that, you will see time to time, you see the kids will start thinking to a different direction on how to affect themselves positively or how to create impact in the environment. So that is where. Now let's go to the other part which Dr. Ras just talked about now. Now, what he just talked about, for example, on LinkedIn page, so sometimes I may be guilty sometimes, but I do a lot when it comes to how you able to develop your content, your business, and all that. Now, you can just wake up every morning and start talking about how you're able to grow your content, you can talk about your daily activities, positive daily activities. How does it impact? How does it create? How does it make things work for people? Now, why some people are not doing that? Maybe they don't know how to write. Maybe they don't understand. They don't have the act of writing. But still, you can still do that. Use your AI to do that. Honestly, you can use Grammarly to do that. There's a part in the Grammarly that has a feature for that. There are other tools also you have online that can also help you to do that. You can talk and then translate in transcript. So there are so many things you can do and start posting those things online. Now, day by day, I learned from somebody. Every day, the man will wake up every morning in 24 hours. It will just take about 4 or 5 hours and do all necessary things he used to do to grow up his startup, his enterprise, his business, and all that. He record them, he speak on it, and transcript them to a book. After transcribing them to a book, the book become one of the best-selling book. So he talked about protecting your content. One of the way to protect your content, even without using the trademark or without you having the patent and all that, get a website or a blog site and just be talking about your content on your blog site alone. You protect it. You know, when you post most of your content on social media, on most of these media platforms, you don't have ownership of that platform. The only place you have ownership of a platform is your website, and connect it to people to grow a community someday. And talk to people, even if you don't want to use to make money, but you can use that to impact. So people sometimes, I wonder when people say every day that they have good content and they post that content online and they can't make money. You are not posting the relevant content that has keywords that people wants to hear. You must have something to impact. Once you have something to impact, what do? Use the 3 Ps. I use the 3 Ps a lot. I use the passion. Turn your passion. Talk about what you do. Turn it. Don't worry. Your passion is your uniqueness. Talk about your uniqueness, how to impact. The moment you talk about it on daily basis, how to impact, people will buy that idea alone. That idea means you are creating value. That is one. How about practice, which is the second P? Keep on practicing what you love doing. Keep on practicing what you love doing and push it online. Put it on a platform. You don't need to run on 3, 4, 5 platforms. Which of the platform you love most? If it is LinkedIn, go with LinkedIn. If it is Twitter, go with Twitter. If it is Instagram, go with Instagram. If it is TikTok, go with it. If it is Pinterest, go with it. Just understand that you learn to master one platform and keep on doing that on daily basis. Over time, you'll be surprised in 365 days what you've been able to put online. You will surprise people. You will surprise how people will come for you and start asking you questions on certain things, on your expertise, on your passion, because you can turn every of your passion to expertise, because experience over time. So you have to start looking exactly, where do I push my content, or how do I turn my content to an enterprise or a venture? How do I impact if you don't want to make money from it? How do you impact? Or how do you become a leading force? How do you join the 1% of the digital economy? You have to start thinking in that direction. So when you start, you see the tools are there for you to use. So you have to start doing that. What are you passionate about? Like for me, I'm passionate about talking every day, passionate about writing every day, passionate about building businesses, building venture, building. So what do I do? As I speak with you, I have been able to put up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 products in just a month, 2 months, 3 months. I have other businesses. Now, your passion is your uniqueness. That is something that will differentiate you from anybody. So when you start understanding, when you talk about your unique selling proposition every day, what's unique about you? What is unique about you? What are you going to give to people? What do you propose to people that people will buy you? So your digital content must come from something. Then the last one which I just mentioned, which is purpose. What is the purpose of creating content every day? If you're able to define the purpose, it's easier for you to understand what you want to use the content for. So these are some of the things that we should start learning to protect. You can't, sometimes people think that you just need to put up a trademark, a patent before you know you're protecting your content. No. Make your content become so relevant that people will start copying what you are doing. People will pick up your content and start learning something from it. That will make you a value creator. That will make you a value creator. Before you know, you become 1% of in the digital economy. So that's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautifully said. We see that we have our special guest here, but would Miss Grace or Miss Kim would like to comment on what Dr. Leslie just commented on? He made a number of important points and even some practical suggestions, which is always good to a listening audience. Any comments to that? Okay. So if we don't, hello, Cheryl, Miss Francis, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. So glad to be here. Good day, I should say, afternoon or evening, depending where you are.
Yes, I'm glad you were able to make it. And so we got the conversation going on a little bit here, but how about you do us a favor and introduce yourself to the crowd so they have an idea of who you are and why you have authority to speak on this subject.
Oh, absolutely. Good morning, everyone, and afternoon or evening. And my name is Sherelle Francis. I am the founder and owner of iLeap Group, Leap Like a Frog. We are just passionate about demolishing the digital divide, and we do this by serving the underserved, overlooked, and often underestimated populations with mere excellence. I'm really proud of the team that we have. We provide IT consulting services and business consulting services, but what we uniquely carve out is a space in a niche for those who need a turnkey solution as it pertains to security and networking. So we literally are your IT department for you when you cannot have one in-house. And we try to address all of the spectrums of your safety and data and your people and your processes, even down to having an attorney on staff, cybersecurity insurance, and then workforce solution. So I am just obsessed with making sure that those who have been overlooked and underestimated are served in excellence, and that they know that they matter no matter the size of the organization. I am a wife and a mom of a blended family. So my oldest is a 33-year-old Gregory. Danielle is 32. Zoe Isabel is 12. And I have a 3-year-old grandson, Levi. And so I fell in love with the game Atari at the age of 7 and beat all 12 of my male cousins. And I knew then that tech would be the path for me no matter what. An authority, that's a strong word. I would definitely say trusted advisor, and I am very confident in this area of security and protection, having been in IT 23 plus years now. I was one of the students that attended Seton Hall University in New Jersey back in 2000 when our campus caught fire. And so I know what it is to feel unsafe. I know what it is to have your records negotiated. I know what it is for things to be lost and not found. And I often serve those populations. But what I have found more than anything is that usually we are just not educated and informed at a level that we can really understand and relate. So that is why I make sure when I have the conversations, they are at 5th grade level, not to insult, but to make sure that it lands and that we understand the urgency and the opportunity that we have in this digital transformation era that we're living in. So that's a little bit about me, and looking forward to sharing a part. And thank you all for having me here. It is an honor to be a part of the Happiness Tribe.
Thank you so much. Let me unpack some of that. That was really awesome. So, just to be relatable, and we're going to get into actually talking about what you do and how you do it in the space of education, but actually also as part of the workforce and implementing this in the training world, in the business working world. But for where are you in the world now? Where do you live? And can you give us a little bit about your upbringing, like where you're coming from and the need for security, even before digital security, but a need for security and kind of that upbringing? Go ahead.
Oh, sure. So I currently live in a town called Wellington, which is in Palm Beach, Florida. So simply put, we're about 30 miles north of Fort Lauderdale. And really, really nice town. And funny enough, I am from New Jersey, born, bred, and fed, as we say. I grew up most of my life in Newark, New Jersey, known as Brick City, for those who know of us globally. I was schooled there. I come from a family of pastors and preachers. And so we spent a good portion of our life in North Jersey. Thus, I ended up at Seton Hall University. And so security for me in its simplest form was non-optional. My grandfather was in the Air Force. All four of my uncles served in the military. So security for me was a baseline in our house. But one of the things that was important to our family was always doing for others and giving back in our community. And I say with much proud, chest out wide today, my grandfather has a street named after him back home in New Brunswick, Clark Avenue. He started the local food bank. He started what we call Elijah's Promise, which was a kitchen. And we served the homeless and those who were hungry, because everyone hungry is not homeless. So security for me is not just about the digital sense, but it is about those basic needs we see in Pavlov's, right? Hierarchy of needs: love, food, clothes, and shelter. So that's where it started for me. My mom, single, raised me by herself. So even my first instance of security of not having my biological father, I think that plays a lot into my business and our values and our mission statement. So security for me, it encompasses everything from our physical to our psychological and our business needs. Grew up in a house full of boys, as I mentioned earlier. So I had to learn how to keep up really fast. Although I was the oldest, they always wanted to compete. So I loved video games, loved playing sports, but I always knew that safety mattered, and went on to go to school in Newark. And for those who aren't familiar with Newark, New Jersey, at one time it was one of the most poverty and violence-stricken cities in the nation. And we had a couple of churches there. So infrastructure and security for me started there. I think we were working on like word processors and really big, heavy computers. And back then I was tinkering around trying to figure out our filing system and keeping things in order, because I knew people wanted to be safe. My mom was a nurse. I had no desire to go into healthcare, but I understood that people want to feel safe and secure no matter their means or their income level. So that's why it's really important to me, not just to deliver a product or a service, but I am probably one of the business owners that can empathize with a lot of those whom we serve. So workforce development is really big to me, team, because I don't want anyone left behind for lack of exposure, because the information is here, but we have to have pathways that are accessible. So that's why for me, this is such a pertinent topic. It is important and it will not go away. But that's a little bit about me. And I stand proudly tall at 6 feet. My father was 6'7", so I'm short considering what I could have been.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. Welcome, Justice, Lauren, Arcot. Thank you guys. Christine, I believe you was here before. So let me ask you then, with all of that, what degree did you get? I'm assuming it was in the STEM stream career field. You got a terminal degree. what degree did you get, and then a job that you got into to start implementing some of this drive to provide or security?
So thank you, yes, to others who joined the room. Let me say that's the I was headed to law school.
You're going down, right?
That's why I was getting this call. I was told not to say anything about tech, if you will.
Grace, please mute.
Grace, that's okay. I
Oops.
knew without a doubt.
Grace.
Oh, yes. Grace has a hot mic. Oh, doesn't even know. There we go. Okay. So as I was saying, if you didn't hear me, this is the irony. I was headed to law school. Love to debate, love to prove facts. I knew at a young age, like, emotions don't matter. Give me the data, right? Like, maybe because my grandfather was my babysitter and he was a 68-year-old Black man who had marched with Dr. Martin Luther King and had seen some things, but I knew, okay, I gotta have the data. So I was headed to law school, and that is why I chose Seton Hall University versus Hampton, where I planned to go, which was a HBCU that we had supported for many years, Historically Black College University, and ended up in business and history. Loved history. My minor was Asian studies. And I tell you all this because if there's anybody in the room listening, or you have these conversations later with your friends, children around you, this is what I love about technology. I went as a history business major and ended up in the computer lab, the work study, making $6.18 per hour, and fell in love with project management. So although I matriculated in international business, I always knew, okay, I love IT, love project management, love the business side. So I pursued all the necessary certificates in project management all the way through. So I have a bunch of them, and I don't put all my letters at the end because I don't think that stuff matters if you can't implement, execute, and supply the actual need for the client. So that is how I ended up on the IT side, but I was actually pre-law. And I'm considering, I have acceptance into a couple of law schools of doing IP law when I kind of retire, as we say, air quotes, when I retire. But I was so not going to school for tech at all.
Wow, this is so interesting. I hope you guys don't mind this deep dive, but this because I want people to understand and know that professionals out there that's doing this are relatable and are real people coming from a real place.
Yes.
Right. With this now, you just said retirement, and I'm looking at your picture, and I'm like, you're about 50 years from retirement. So can you explain that to me? And I'm assuming you went from working for someone to working for yourself. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So you had me at 50 years from retirement. So I need your address to send you some good flowers, some food. Thank you. I wish. My goal has been to retire at 50. So I'm now 43 years young. So I have 7 years to go. But absolutely, and to others in the room, I hope that this conversation is landing and you all relate, because I think it's important to know that life brings pivots and to embrace them. I was working a major tech big four for many years. I worked at major Fortune 100. I was blessed, none of this on my own. I was very blessed to have really great employment, but I was often the only woman or the only woman of color. And I encountered that a lot, and I just had to make a decision. Do I stay agitated by it, or do I get the most that I can? And so I decided, especially at my last employer, I was there almost a decade, I'm going to get all the training, all the education I can here, understand the business. I always enjoyed infrastructure, supply chain, but to really understand as a systems integrator what we delivered, what product and key offerings we delivered, and how we delivered them, and then where we didn't do our best. Because I wanted just excellence, and I knew the experience I always wanted as a client. So for me, coming out of full-time, I was first hybridpreneur. So let me just say to everyone here, I think sometimes on social media, there's this image given of, entrepreneur life is great. I wake up when I want. I work from the beach. I've been working remote for 15 years. I always flew to the cities I needed to go to and was on site for clients. So for me, remote wasn't new because of the pandemic. That had been my work lifestyle. But I was a hybridpreneur. So I was working 9 to 5 and then working from 8 to 1 a.m., nights and weekends, trying to build my own business because I didn't have this sense of satisfaction. And I knew I wanted to see rural serving institutes, minority serving institutes, historically Black colleges, universities, Native and tribal. My family is from Oklahoma. I should say my great grandfather is 100% Choctaw Indian, as is my grandmother on my father's side. So I have legacy there. So for me, it was, how long can I do this? And let me be honest to everyone in this room, I worked double hard my full-time job so that there would be no lack because I was building my business on the side. And in hindsight, I wish I would have hired at least an executive assistant to balance that out. But I did eventually last year go and become full-time entrepreneur, and it has been a journey. I would not sit here and lie and say it has been rosy all the way, but I liken it to this. When you get on a plane, at the end of the day, the door is shut in the pilot's cabin, and he or she has one job ultimately, is to land safely. Even if they have to reroute because of any interruptions, bad weather, something at the original airport they're supposed to go to, they have at best 323 lives in their hands, and they have to land that flight safely. And so I learned that as an entrepreneur, it is my job to land. It is my job to stay focused. And so now, being a full-time entrepreneur, I had to just pivot to, I'm not 9 to 5ing for someone else. This is the business I'm building, God willing, with more teammates for my legacy. So I have to land. I have to navigate the ebbs and flows of what this looks like for the long run. So I start with the end in mind, but it was not the easiest transition, but I've made the transition, and I'm really embracing the liberty in having my own and making my decisions. And then you have to embrace the fright and the fear and the insanity of having others depend on you. So it is a beautiful, ugly moment that I've embraced. And it has been an eye-opener because many people say, oh, I'm a founder, I'm a CEO, but you could be self-employed and not a CEO. So that's where I am right now, really, really mastering how to be a great CEO, not self-employed.
My God, this is so wonderful. We're getting so much good sound bites. Oh, so let me continue. Now, doing this as a mother, right? As you have people that's looking up to you, children, but also your neighbors, your family members. You have a lot of people looking at you from everything you just said. And what I heard is you own the entrepreneurial spirit, right? And then you stepped out, and it's not just products and services. Well, you said a lot about empathy, right? And bringing that.
Okay, I didn't hear the last part.
So you have these things that you can offer to the community, and you have a sensitivity to offer that to our community. Does that come from the struggle of when you was going through and you see you was alone, or is it something out there when you're serving the community, you're seeing this difference in the need and something that you're addressing real? Where does that come from?
That's such a great question. Let me say, it's both for me. It was one thing to, have your regular check every 2 weeks, bi-monthly, work 9 to 5, and then, build this business, have this dream. But then that with the layer of being a parent, and I'm sensitive that everyone is not a parent, some desire and can't. So let me say that first, preface it. But when you are, even if you're a proxy parent, if you're the rich auntie, the rich uncle, all the things, it's work-life integration. And I know we so want to say balance, but I'm not convinced that that really exists. And I would meet other entrepreneurs, and there was like this whisper, especially women entrepreneurs, like, okay, am I being the good mom? Or, sometimes we'll talk about mom guilt. Even when I was in the airport, like I would meet other entrepreneurs, and I'm like, okay, so this is a theme. This is not just in my mind. This is not just a Sherelle thing. Why are we whispering about it rather than having real conversations? And then I started noticing, in the corporate spaces, there's burnout. My husband is still in corporate finance. And so the burnout doesn't look that different from the struggle I would have as a parent, but it's just that how sometimes we communicate about it. And what I decided for me and my authentic self, not discussing it was not going to work, right? Just double negative. That just was not going to work. So I try to be really sensitive. One of the reasons I've launched a community, I Elevate, is to help women entrepreneurs know that they have a landing spot for, hey, I just need community. I need like-minded people, like-minded spirits who get this moment that I'm having. So I encountered it while I was working full-time. I encountered it as I came into a full-time entrepreneurship and being raised by a single parent. I saw my mom exhausted and still pushing through. She would work her night shifts as a nurse, 12 hours, 4 days. And then, okay, this weekend we're going to the beach. And I knew sometimes she was totally tired, but she pushed through it. So just really trying to find that place of healthy and integration versus balance. And so I'm still learning, still working through it, but I'm feeling like it's getting better. And I'm learning how to say no. If there's anything else I would say here is often no is your best yes. No.
No is your best yes. I love that. So I'm going to wrap it up we have a half an hour left, so I'm going to wind it down now with everything that you said and what you've built, right? Now we get to the digital footprint and the legacy. What measures do you take to leave that in place? Thinking about now you want to go off into the pasture and kind of relax, and how do you structure to leave a good digital footprint? That's the question.
So let me tell you, this is exciting for me, and thank you to all of you who stayed. I know our time is precious, and so I want to say this is the part of the conversation that I am so glad we're having, because I don't think it's amplified enough. I think there's digital footprint, and then there's legacy, right? My hope is when I am not in the room, people know my voice, people know my mission. People think, okay, Sherelle was just totally dedicated to demolishing the digital divide. Well, that's a broad statement. Well, let me tell you what Sherelle did. Obituaries are not for a funeral. An obituary is really to talk about your life. The eulogy is what you do at a funeral. So I want my digital footprint to be the obituary of, here's the things that Sherelle contributed to, how she activated or was a change maker. She was adamant about broadband access and it being the utility so that the prices can be regulated, so it can be affordable, so that people everywhere can have access to high-speed internet. That is pivotal to me. I want my footprint to be that Sherelle was adamant about social justice and biases being addressed with technology, not just AI, because AI isn't new. It's just the advent of the accessibility is very, very new. I want my footprint to be that Sherelle was adamant that everyone in the room mattered, whether they were in a virtual room or a physical room, because I know after the pandemic, we got so used to doing things virtually, then we had this thrive to be back in person, or we didn't know how to be back in person. There was awkwardness. So I want my digital footprint to be really consistent with Sherelle cared, Sherelle activated, and Sherelle was adamant about demolishing the digital divide, not building some kind of bridge. I don't believe in that. But the legacy, here's what I'll say to everyone. I hope when you walk away from the room today, you think about this. A lot of people don't have the conversations about wills, executors, because sometimes it can be uncomfortable. And I just got home from visiting my 84-year-old grandmother, who's in great mind, body, and soul, and I'm so glad about that. But we were going through some of the things with her will and her trust. But I said, Nana, you have to have a digital executor. She's like, what? Because my grandmother's on Facebook. She's here on LinkedIn. She has an Instagram profile. She was an analyst at Frigidaire for 30 years. So she's very tech savvy, for especially an 84-year-old woman. But what I'm saying is, if her accounts were locked out, or if there was no way to get in touch with her, if she passed, God forbid, that day will come. But if she passed suddenly, all of the accounts, all of the platforms where she has accounts, we would not have access to them. So when we think about digital legacy, I would challenge everyone here today, please, if you remember nothing else from me besides being 6 foot tall, flat foot, that you have a digital executor. Have someone assigned that you trust that can get access to all of your online accounts. I literally have a client who had a sibling pass away, and this is nothing but torment to have memories and things come up on your Facebook page, and that person's deceased, right? And you can still go to their Instagram page, and because no one had access to her social media platforms. So you need a digital executor. And remember, this person is like an executor of your will. So if you deem it necessary, to write up something formally to say you're responsible, in the event that something happens to me. But if you access my accounts, unlawfully, I'll take action. Do what works for you. But I want you all to know that digital executors exist. And then finally, have truly digital tools. Check them. Double check your passwords. I know this sounds redundant, but check your passwords. Google Password Manager will tell you if things have been compromised. I use Bitdefender. There's other things out there, but I'm telling you all this because we're very susceptible. If there's business owners in the room right now, leaders, other business owners, especially those of us who are BIPOC or women, diverse backgrounds, or you have a business that's grossing generally less than $1 million a year, we're prime targets. So for me, this security is so important because your legacy can be tarnished if you do not protect it. And I want you all to know here, Google, Facebook, Apple, Instagram, Microsoft, I'm a multi-cloud provider. They all have digital executor accounts. So even though they're not advertising it, I want everyone here to be equipped and walk away with some value add. You have that available to you for free. So use it because this is really, really, really important. So for me, the footprint is authenticity, activation, and committed to demolishing the digital divide by giving the correct attention and service to our underserved and overlooked. And the digital legacy is by securing your accounts and your information by having an executor to your accounts, just like you would your will or your property, because data is our most valuable commodity. It is no longer time. It is now data, because information will be here about you after you have left this earth. So I need everyone to really think about that. So thank you. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much. So a digital executor, everyone heard it here. And I'm wondering, and I'm going to ask if there's some way we here at the Happiness Tribe, because I'm going to galvanize our members here, if we can do maybe a workshop with you you know, if you can do a discount group workshop or something, maybe for our attendees or our members that want to learn more about this, where can we get in touch with you, even if it's not for the discount, but for any products or services related to anything they heard today?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I would love to partner and do that. We do it for other organizations, nonprofits, and churches. And so it's value add. So you can find me here on LinkedIn. I am one of probably the crazy ones that still checks all of my messages, right? Like I don't have a bot. I don't have an autoresponder. I don't have an assistant. So I want to tell you all, when you message me on LinkedIn, it is me responding to you. And it comes right to my phone. So that's a great place to get me. And I don't have any issues with people who have to use autoresponders and all those, but this is my organic growth. I've grown my following. And so I like to still be very accessible. So this is the best way. And my website, it is my namesake. So this is really easy. It is SherrellFrancis.com. So when you go to LinkedIn and you click my website button, it's coming directly to me. Those are the two best ways to get me. They both notify my phone directly. My company website, all that's listed, but it's a much larger group entity. But when you go to my website, it comes right to my phone. And you go to my LinkedIn page, it comes right to my phone. So I would tell you, just inbox me and it is me getting back to you, because I think that personal touch absolutely matters.
Thank you so much. And do you have any events coming up you'd like to mention?
Woo! I am going to be the end of this month, Florida, here in Fort Lauderdale. Graciously, I'm being honored at Women Empower Her in Fort Lauderdale. But then my next big event is September the 23rd through the 25th. I am the keynote and opening speaker for the National Payroll Organization Global, for all of their leaders. So that will be in Orlando at the Convention Center. And then I'll also be speaking in New Brunswick, New Jersey for the Broadband and Women's Conference. I think that is October the 14th. And then I have about 2 more events coming up in November. My site has my full itinerary, but I know those are the dates coming up. Listen, school is starting here in Florida, okay? In literally 10 days. I'm getting ready to go on vacation for 8 days, everyone. And then when I come back, my daughter goes back to school. So for the first 2 weeks of school, I don't have like in-person speaking events because it's that work-life integration, but I make myself totally available to my clients. I'll do anything virtual, but I try to be really home and present those first 2 weeks with my 7th grader. But October, November, definitely a full itinerary. And I'm open. If you need workshops, facilitations, or keynotes, please feel free to reach out to me, and me and my assistant book directly, and would love to serve you all.
Thank you so much. I'm going to open it up now to the audience. Anyone want to come up and ask our guests any questions or any feedback? Miss Kim or Miss Grace, take it away. Dr. Leslie, thank you so much, Cheryl. I'm looking so forward to learning more and interacting with you.
Thank you. Same here.
And I was about to alludate, I don't know if you know what that means, Cheryl. In Africa, when we're super excited, I'll leave Dr. Leslie to explain that. What we do when we are super excited. Thank you so much, Cheryl. You've dropped gems. And this is so important. It's a conversation that we need to keep on having. And some of these things, just as you pretty nicely put it, we don't think about them until when it's too late, until when it happens, until that person is gone and you're thinking, and how do we even access this person's phone? We don't have the password, this important information. I'm a victim. My mom passed on 3 years ago, and I'm sure there's still money in her bank account, which we're going around in circles. I think we were talking about it like 2 weeks ago with my siblings, because first, when these things happen, you caught up with a lot of emotions, a lot of drama. You're dealing with so much before you get to think about, how do I give this closure respectively? How do we move on? How do I make sure I'm not getting my mom's content circulating? Recently, my friend, a very close friend of mine, shared a beautiful beautiful picture of me and my granny that I felt like the spirits were talking and saying, "Come on, child, I'm here." And it's me hugging my granny. And I could remember that moment so, so well and so dearly. So dearly. That's about 5 years ago. And I shared with a very close friend of mine who is actually on this platform. And I wanted to share with the world, but I felt like, no, this is my granny. I'm not about to share my granny right now with the world. And Cheryl, you're brave because I see, and you've done an awesome job getting your Nana on the LinkedIn platform. I think I remember commenting on your platform when you're celebrating her birthday. And Dr. Ras, give me my flowers. Just like I told you, Cheryl is a whole vibe. You've seen it. You've seen it. She's just
Yeah,
awesome.
you got me.
Thank you. You're so kind. And let me say to everyone here, Sally, she has seen you and she said, I saw your friends from Africa liking and commenting. I'm so proud of you, Sherelle. She watches and she tracks. I'm telling you. So she's seen you. I'm honored to be here. I appreciate you all so much, and what you do here is impactful. So it's family. I thank you so much.
You're most welcome. We're blessed to have you. And just moving on with the conversation, I think I've recorded a lot. I'll share a blog post. If you are in the room, oh, sorry, passing through the chair, Dr. Raz, if you're in the room and you have something you'd love to share, you want more information, how do I archive my digital platforms? How do I make sure my information is safe? What exactly, how do I get to know about my digital legacy? And you're not able to come on the platform and speak, please put it on the comment section as well. And as always, let's make sure we connect, we network, we collaborate, we engage with each other. You've heard from our awesome speakers, Dr. Leslie, Grace, Dr. Russ, Shariel. They have a lot to share. So let's ensure this is the easiest place and your opportunity to go like, we're in the same audio room. I'd love to know more about this and that. I'd love to connect. I'd love to invite you to an engagement. I was recently invited by Randy, who is down there, to his very, very awesome school. I think it's a very famous school. It's called
The
School Living World.
the Digital Enterprise Academy, DEA. That is a nice invitation you got right there. That's RTR, Real Talk Randy. He's in Washington, D.C., tearing up the STEM scene, giving the kids what they need. Yes, absolutely.
I was very happy to meet and engage with the students. So yes, these platforms work. Thank you, Dr. Leslie. You shared a lot on how we can encourage more people to get on the platform. It can be like a double-edged sword if you're not very clear on what to do with the platform. And I know I've had a lot of people that they'll ask me, why are you posting every other day? Why are you always on LinkedIn? And it's sort of, you've got to get on it for you to understand the benefits, what we reap from these platforms. There's obviously some people are scared, some people have been scarred, some people have had their trauma or some challenges they're dealing with. But like everything else in life, you just have to dip in your toes and get to see if you can put in your feet. And some of these things work for some, don't work for others, and it's okay. So I think back to you, Dr. Ras, and I see you have a guest. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Miss Kim. I really appreciate this opportunity to do this. I had so much fun with our guests, and we're definitely going to do this again. But we have some other people on the stage here, and I'd definitely like to give Mr. Mike Camp here a chance to speak about this topic as he worked in that space. But right before I do that, let me say we still have another 14 minutes, guys, so don't go anywhere. And this episode was brought to you by our first official sponsor, which is FileBaby. And FileBaby actually uses NFT and blockchain or just blockchain technology to protect and secure your creations and protect it from from AI technology as far as being used for training. So it creates a manifesto and tracks wherever your digital creation goes. And so it's another one of those things not afterlife. Well, it can work then, but also now when you're creating, guys, you're developing. It's some really awesome technology, and it's advancing every day. So hopefully we'll have some guests to speak about that soon. But again, if you want to protect your technology, I know they're working on writing technology now, but obviously you can do video, you can do animation, and pictures. So yeah, you got to get that file baby protection on your creations. But I do want to thank them. I want to thank Karen Kilroy and Orson Weems, because they did extend the opportunity. And if you guys check out File Baby and like it, and it's easy to use, you can use a code that we have now, which is the Happiness Tribe code. So capital T, capital H, capital T 24. So that's THT 24, and you'll get 10% off of your subscription. And if you have a business or enterprise, you can just give us a call and you can save even more. So that's File Baby. Check them out. And thank you for supporting us, guys. Michael Camp, take it away, please.
Gosh, can I just jump in and ask? You know, Michael, I've just clicked on your profile and it shows me like I would straight up get on YouTube. How amazing is that? How did you get that linked? I know LinkedIn doesn't like it when you get out of the platform, or it's my phone going cuckoos. Great. Anyway, please, you can post about your events, upcoming engagements on the comment section. We get a lot of people coming back and asking questions. Cheryl, the same, all your events coming up. And even to our listeners, this is a community platform. This is your platform. There's no happiness tribe without each one of you. This would not exist. So in the spirit of Ubuntu collaboration, networking, and just being a team, just being a community, just post there. And we encourage even those questions of you're looking for a job. We have Grace, who is doing an amazing job at training people how to get jobs. How do you go for interviews? How do you present yourself? So please post there. You're trying to market a product. You can see, I'm listening to Dr. Raz and I'm going like, is this a doctor or a marketing guru?
Hey, you know what? On that, let me add something, right? So Michael Camp here is being modest because you see Chief Technical Officer under there, under his title, and he's actually, for this show, he's actually, Mike, can you tell him what you're doing? But he's airing and streaming this show, actually, our audio show now. and we'll be adding some clips for you, so you'll have some sound bites because we got some good material today, thanks to our guest. But he is the technical guy, and what we're gonna do actually, and we'll just put this out there, is you're gonna use this opportunity to offer an internship, but we're different here at the Happiness Tribe. So instead of paying our students are going to pay the Happiness Tribe to get experience in actually video editing and promotion for this opportunity every Sunday. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to open up some spots, and Michael is going to teach them how to stream on 6 different platforms for the show, and we'll make it a nice little educational experience, and also you can get some operational funds, and we can get going in this beautiful happy tribe of ours. Take it away. He also goes by the name Mr. Mike Drop, so get used to that. Dr. Leslie, you've been up here very patient. Would you like to get in another word? Okay, so maybe he's getting.
Okay.
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and also I'm looking at where we'll be able to put up a workshop, which you just mentioned now, where one can impact. You just take your time to show your passion, and also see how you can also create create more opportunities for people. And I think I'm in for it. Anytime, any day, I'm good, and I'm in for it. I just want to say thank you, everyone, and also thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. So we got 5 minutes left. So let me wrap this up by asking, I guess, if I was not into or didn't understand, how do I begin to learn about digital footprint and digital legacy? Where do I start? For personal and then for professional sake.
By talking to Sharil.
I would say, I hate to tell people, go Google it. But the first thing you can actually do is Google digital executor. Or you can use Microsoft Bing, whatever your search engine is. But here's what I want everyone here to do is to take time and search a digital executor, because I think when everyone understands how necessary it is, it becomes really, really relatable of, hey, my information is as important as my home, my property, my finances. And then I think we'll start to think about our digital legacy differently, and we'll take action now to really secure it for our future. So I just want everyone to start with that, the digital executor. And you'd be surprised how the resources are there, but most of us just are unaware. And I just want everyone informed. So that for me is the best way to start today.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. So we're winding down now. Miss Kim, would you like to go around and give last? Everyone can kind of give their takeaway.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I could chime in. Dr. Grace was on again.
Yes, yes. Sorry. I'm not able to hear you guys very clearly. So sorry. But I'm here in a noisy Starbucks today. But I have a guest with me, and I wanted you guys to say hi to her as well. She was our speaker last week, Jennifer. So you want to say hi, Jennifer?
Hello, everybody. Grace and I are
Hello.
here together in real life.
Yay.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's exciting to always meet folks face to face, and that's the power of network and the power of LinkedIn, and the power of collaboration. She already teach me some stuff, so we talking a lot about a lot of good stuff here, and I've learned about the things that she does as well. And I just want that to expand to everybody out there, and kind of and we're talking about digital footprint. How the digital footprint translates into actual footprints, right? Into actual human to human communication and connections. So I just wanted to share that real quick with you guys. Sorry, I'm here in a noisy background area, but I hope you guys can hear me halfway good.
Thank you so much.
Gosh, I live in a neighborhood with dogs and monkeys, so I think they're having their afternoon fiesta. I hope it's not too noisy. This is great. This is important. And yes, just to echo back to all the speakers' words, it's critical just the way we plan our wheel and think about how do I want to be remembered? What do I want to leave behind? Let's make sure that we leave. How awesome. Do you think about how to date we can listen to the voice of Martin Luther? Like last month we were celebrating Mandela Day, and there was so much circulating on social media with Mandela's voice. Think about how many legends we've had that they left so much, they gave their all, that we still deep into their wisdom, and they're long gone. So think about that, and of course, each for their own. Some people want to be remembered in different ways, but if it's what do we put in, what words can we echo, what books have we written, what blog posts can they serve the next generation? Are we planting trees that we may not sit on, but there will be a shade for someone else to enjoy that shade? So this is so important. Let's be very intentional about what we post. Let's think about the future generation, the ones that are coming after us. Let's always remember we're the ones who we've been waiting for, and words have meaning. There's actually something so profound. I saw this guy I like. I'm sure you all know Gary Zuckerberg. Gary is something. His surname is a bit difficult, but I'm sure Gary Zukav. You all know him, and he was talking about podcasting, and he said, "You are what you listen to, so choose wisely." So think about it. Are we putting in some information that the world will be left wondering, how do we delete Miss Kim from LinkedIn? She's gone, but I don't want to bump into her along the streets of LinkedIn. She's gone. I don't want to listen to her YouTube. Or is it gonna be I need to archive her voice? I need to remember what she left. She impacted lives. So there's nothing like we're building legacies in our 50s or 60s. We're building it now. And that change begins right now as we speak. What's have power? What's have meaning? Who are we touching? What impact are we leaving? Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. Please note, as we keep saying, every day when we're closing the Sunday session, the Happiness Tribe is evolving to an amazing community. So you will see in the next few weeks, there'll be a lot of information. We'll have an official launch to let you know what we've been cooking behind the scenes and what's happening to Happiness Tribe 2.5, or is it 2.0, Dr. Ras? I'll leave Dr. Ras to close for us. Thank you, our guests. Thank you, our listeners. We are honored to have you. It is a great Sunday. Let's have a great week.
Yes. Thank you all. We'll be here the same time next week, every week. You bring the issues, we bring the conversation. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day and a blessed week, everyone.